John from caveofprogramming.com, and this is another beginner's tutorial on C++. And in this tutorial we're going to create a basic Hello World C++ program and run it. So I'm going to explain a lot of kind of things to you in this tutorial, but there's no need to memorize everything I'm saying here. I'm just going to begin to introduce you to some ideas. And the important thing here is, after this tutorial, to go away and create your own Hello World C++ program. So hopefully by this point you've got an IDE installed, preferably Eclipse, but another one's good too. And you've got a compiler installed. And if the two are not talking to each other properly, then this is the point at which you'll probably find that out, and you'll have to go away, do some Googling, and figure out how to tell your IDE where the compiler is. So let's take a look. So here's Eclipse, and I'm going to go to File, New C++ Project. And if you're using like another IDE like Visual C++ or something, then you might have to use a different menu option. But usually with C++, in your IDE, you create a project first. And that's not a C++ concept, that's to do with your IDE. It's a way of organizing your files. So you create a C++ project in your IDE, and then you can add C++ files to it. Let's give this project a name, and I'm going to call it Hello World. And in Eclipse here, I'm going to select Hello World C++ project as this option here. And all IDEs, as far as I know, they will provide you with a way of creating a Hello World project automatically, which is good, because believe me, just getting a basic C++ program running is a huge achievement. And when you've done this, in my opinion, it's sort of, if anything, gets slightly easier from here on in. So I'm going to create a Hello World C++ project, and I'm just going to click Next here. You can go through all these screens if you want. Let's just step through them, or you can just click Finish straight away. Let's go Next. And here we've got debug and release targets, which I'm going to talk about in a little while. And I'm just going to click Finish. So here's the project, and we can already run this. And to actually run it, in some IDEs you can just click the Run button straight away. In this version of Eclipse, we've got to go to Project and Build Project. So when you create a C++ project, you need to build it. Building it basically means doing all the steps that are involved in taking your text file and turning it into a program. That's called building it. So, and there are several steps involved, but your IDE will do those automatically for you. So we need to build the project, and we can then run it. So I can now click Run, this green Run button here in Eclipse, and we can see it says Hello World down here. So we've actually run a C++ program. And that text is actually coming from here. You can see there are two double quotes here. And a good thing to do is replace the text between the double quotes with something else. Let's say, Hello there, world. So between the double quotes, it's just ordinary English text. You can use most characters there, with a few exceptions. If you put maybe like a backslash in, you could have problems, because there's some special characters that have a special meaning within strings in C++. But basically you can put pretty much anything in there. Maybe even just the backslash, actually, just to come to think of it. That might be the only problem. Let's run that again. Now it's already built, Eclipse will let me run this program by just clicking the Run button, and it asks me if I want to save it, so I say yes, and it's just going to build it, automatically rebuild it and run it, and it says Hello there, world again. Now if you're using a different compiler, this could look slightly different. The return 0 could be missing. This might say void instead of int. There might be stuff between these two brackets. iostream here, that stands for input output stream. It might be iostream.h. It's possible that even this might be missing, so it might look a little different. And that's a great thing about getting your IDE to generate it automatically, that it's going to generate one appropriate for your compiler. And the main program, this is the main function, we call it, is one of the areas in which there's some diversity from compiler to compiler in C++. This would probably work with most compilers, if not all, but it's not completely sure. So having done that, let's take a little bit of a look at this. And as I say, the take-home thing for this tutorial is to get your compiler to generate this program and then run it, figure out how to do that. And if it doesn't work at this point, if you get some weird messages, make sure you've got your compiler installed, and then just Google for how to get your IDE to link to that compiler that you've installed. And that's going to be a little different depending on what platform you're on and what compiler and IDE you're using. For me, it was very simple. I didn't have to do any configurations, as far as I can recall. I just installed the GNU C++ compiler on the Mac, and I just unzipped Eclipse, downloaded it and unzipped it, and somehow it found it. But that's not necessarily going to be the case on other platforms, so I can't give specific instructions, but it's really important to get into the habit of Googling stuff like this. So one really good thing to do is to type this out yourself from scratch. And at that point, if you're anything like me, you will make some terrible mistakes and it won't work, and you'll have to refer back to, you can take a copy of this, put it in Notepad or something, and refer back to that copy, and then you can see what you've missed out, what you've done wrong, which is a very, very valuable thing to do. So let's see if we can reconstruct this from scratch. So the first thing that was in there was just a comment, and I don't know exactly what it said, but in C++, if you type 2 forward slashes like this, these are forward slashes, then you can type whatever you like on the same line after it. So I could put hello world, and it's just a comment to yourself. And people always say, programmers, that commenting your code is very, very important, and it is, but almost every programmer I've known was lazy about it, to be honest with you. And also sometimes you end up writing comments, changing the code, and you forget to change the comment, and then the comment is nothing but a confusion. So I don't know, I'm not a big commenter, but I try to make comments if I type some code that I'm then going to look at later and think, what the hell is that supposed to do? It's really helpful to type some comments before. So you could have more comments there, a basic program. You can put them wherever you like, as long as they start with these forward slashes. But don't worry about memorizing this. We'll be looking at it again, and you could just miss those out, of course, as well. And the next line was it started with a hash sign, and it said then include immediately after the hash sign, and then we had an open and close like diamond bracket. And these brackets in C++, they always come in pairs, pretty much always. So whenever you type an opening bracket, you should always put the closing bracket in immediately, and your IDE will usually do that for you. And if it doesn't, it's really important to make sure that you start off with a pair of brackets, and then inside these brackets we're going to type iostream, lowercase. Again, C++ is case sensitive, so you need to get the case of things correct. And what this is actually doing, you won't understand most of what's in this basic program until you've been doing C++ for a while. We're going to have to look at more concepts before you can understand the basic Hello World program. But I'm going to just make some remarks just to begin to get you used to it. And what this is actually doing is it's actually an instruction to take a file called iostream and actually literally put it in the this file, or like some copy of this file, before compiling it, before turning it into an actual program. So you don't see that happening, it happens behind the scenes, but we're actually picking up another file and bunging it in here, almost literally. And then we're going to say using namespace standard, it's actually std, and then a semicolon. And in C++, a lot of what you're typing will consist of statements, and a statement has to finish in a semicolon. Not everything is a complete statement though, but basically in C++ you have to get into the habit, as in Java, of typing semicolons at the end of most lines. So there isn't one here. This, for some reason, is not considered a statement, this one, but this is, and it has to have a semicolon at the end of it. And often when you start out, you'll just miss out the semicolons by mistake, but gradually you get used to putting them in because you need them.